code red 7-1.
It ain't that bad. Do they know when we got the film crew on board?
I have no idea.
When a child acts out, whether that child is 5 or 15, that's a cry for help.
Sometimes you get a teenager running away, doing their thing, and your parent don't know what to do. My probation officer sent me back to camp, and it just went down from there.
Camp Scott, it's supposed to be a military style to rehabilitate you, but really it was not that.
These young girls, what these kids needed was therapy, maybe some self-discipline, maybe some tough love, but that's not what they got.
It's called rehabilitation, but there wasn't no rehabilitation, no helping anybody. The guards, they did what they felt like doing. Wake up when they tell you to wake up.
Brush your teeth, wash your face, get dressed.
Eat when they tell you to eat.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, sir. No, ma'am.
And you go back to the dorm for showers.
And do it over again.
An adult can mess with a child's mind.
These girls never had a chance. The entire goal was compliance. Compliance, compliance, compliance. Compliance in the physical drills, compliance in the structure, compliance in the rules. And that carried over to compliance in sexual abuse.
Just a reminder to discuss me. So let's take one. AK. Thank you so much for being here.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I've never really talked about any of this stuff ever, not even to my family. Like, my family don't know the stuff that went on with me. I'm the middle sibling, but I feel like the oldest. One of my older brothers, I lost him when I was 18 and he was 19. Then my oldest is really not around, so it's pretty much I am the big sis. My great-grandmother raised me from day one from the hospital because my mom and dad wasn't there. My dad was killed when I was 12, and my mom was in and out of prison my whole life. So my grandma, I called her mom. Like, I didn't call her grandma or anything. That was my mom.
My grandma raised me too, especially where we're at in South Central. It's like, not everybody, but most of my friends were raised by grandmas, but they couldn't give us what we was looking for. You need your parent. You need that love. So they do what they can and you're just lost. That's it. So.
How would you describe yourself as a kid? How would you describe yourself when you were younger?
I don't know how to describe myself, really. I really don't.
I think I was a strange kid. I grew up in Los Angeles, and it was just me and my grandmother. Both my parents are deceased, so she raised me. So there's a lot of things that, that you would normally do with your child, and she wasn't able to do. Like, I was really a loner for the most part. I had no self-respect, no morals, no values. I was already suffering from my childhood of not having parents and being with a grandmother who tried to be present. She did try to be present. She wasn't a bad parent, but she was older. So there was just a lot of things that she just wasn't aware of. My grandmother would always tell me, if you act up or you misbehave, they're gonna put you in juvenile hall and bad things happen there. You don't wanna go there. My expectation going to Camp Scott was, I was scared. But when I got there, I still remember to this day walking into the dorm, and there was like a flat screen TV on the wall. There was music being played, but that's when I realized you have maybe an hour for social, where the staff allow you to, talk amongst each other, write letters back home to family. Sometimes they'll give you phone calls, but then you go to bed.
Were there any specific moments that gave you peace, even though things definitely weren't easy?
When I slept. When I was asleep. That's about it. When I was asleep.
You have a program that you follow even on the weekends. You get up, do hygiene, then after breakfast, you report to school. Lunch, back to school, back to the dorm, and then you rec for a little bit, and then you go to dinner, showers, social, bed. These officers, they're making sure that you're running your program to a T. The probation officers that work there are also, they're really supposed to be there as like a support system. I mean, we're minors, so they're just there really to watch us, to make sure that we're running our program like we're supposed to be. So where it was supposed to be, I don't know you, you don't know me, we're all here for the same goal, to rehabilitate you, get you back home, or get you, out of here. It wasn't that way. If you get in trouble, you're gonna go to the box. The box is the small cell where you're isolated. It's locked and you have no type of communication other than to shower. You don't get phone calls. All your privileges pretty much get stripped. And so you spend however long they want you to be in there. So it's normally 2 to 3 days. Yeah.
I'm a veteran. I was an intelligence officer in the Navy and actually went to a military school as a kid. And I'm not against the military. I was in the military. I'm against it when it's used to abuse children. And that's what happened here. Imagine being a 13-year-old girl. Your probation officer comes in telling you you are worthless. You will stand at attention. You will shut up. You will do nothing unless I tell you to do it. Every move you make is governed by somebody who is essentially a drill sergeant. The level of control they had, that's insane. And my sense is that you begin to look at these human beings that you house in this camp, you dehumanize them. You begin to look at them as things for your personal use, not living, breathing human beings who need your help. These are not adults, these were children. There's an old maxim in law that says in loco parentis, meaning when you're in a school or a facility that in care of children, the school is in loco parentis, which means in the place of the parent. So these were their parents. These were their fathers. That's what they were supposed to act as. And instead what they did is they took that self-discipline principle and used their power for evil. That's very simply what this case is about.
Walker was my probation officer supervisor, and I met him because my case was transferred to a female officer. But I had to speak with Walker prior to, because he wanted to explain to me why I was being transferred. And when I spoke to Walker, Walker brought me into his office. He closed the door. He took advantage of that opportunity. He flirted with me and he walked me out. And as we're walking, he said, do you always have this effect on men? And in my mind, I'm thinking like, wow, I have this effect on men? You know what I mean? You gotta think I'm 13 years old. And so I was feeling like, wow, someone's showing me some attention, because of the situation that I'm in with my grandmother, At that time, my grandmother kind of had given up on me. I felt like I already didn't have parents, and you're all that I have, and you're not here for me, And so Walker, he gave me a card. He wrote his personal phone number on there, and he told me that you can call me any time of day or night, whatever you need, you can call me. I did call him. And we made arrangements to meet, and he came and he picked me up from my grandmother's house. And we went to a hotel room. He closed the door. We had sex, and he gave me money, $200. I took that money and went back to school and bought pizza and candy with my friends. And it was a lot of money, you know what I mean? And so I always think back on that, what I spent the money on. It wasn't even anything serious, which just goes to show how young I was, candy and pizza. So yeah.
As a prosecutor who handles sexual abuse cases, not only did I work with a ton of survivors of sexual abuse, children, women, but you also learn and understand how the abuse happens, that there is no one type of person that perpetrates that abuse, and you can understand how they're able to gain control over their victims. And it might not be who you think it is a lot of the times. It's the teacher who everyone loves. It's the, coach who's a dad. It's, in this case, a probation officer who is supposed to rehabilitate children. The common approach of these deputy probation officers were to pick on the most vulnerable.
You're talking about majority Black and brown minors. A lot of us come from homes like myself who don't have parents. Some of them are from foster care that didn't even know who their parents are. They've been in the system since birth.
The guards, they were basically like police. I'm African American, and with how it is with African Americans and police, we don't trust the police. It's the authority.
They look at you like you're the problem, so you're already starting from a tough spot,
A lot of Black and brown girls, we don't get the believings. They say, okay, you knew better. If he did this to you, then why you didn't say nothing, or why did you do it? Little kid,
They targeted the ones who knew they didn't have a parent to talk to about this, or they didn't have the support to speak up. They would target them, they would isolate them, and they would groom them. And what I mean by grooming is the classic telltale signs, bringing them treats. Because at Camp Scott, they're not getting candy, they're not getting basketballs, they're not getting special hair products, which every girl covets at that age. So to gain the trust and affection, anything that they expressed an interest in, they would bring them. Tell them, hey, this is our little secret, but I'm gonna do this for you. And this is, for many girls, the first time that there's an adult figure doing something nice for them. We're talking men in their 40s, of children as young as 12. They manipulate that trust, they take control over these children, and they abuse them. And they abuse them in the most heinous ways imaginable.
What we know about sexual abuse is that it is devastating psychologically. It's emotional murder. It's not just a crime of sex or violence. It's a crime of power. You know, for some of these women, their first sexual experience was with these guards. When somebody takes that from you, whether it's a priest, a doctor, or a probation officer, it impacts your development. I'm talking about the inability to function, panic attacks, numbing your emotional pain with substances. And I think worst of all, it affects your ability to love. Ultimately, that affects your humanity and your life at a very base level. And those can last a lifetime, unless you get treatment. The good news is, by raising their hand and saying this happened to me, we're able to get our clients treatment. We want to get them the ability to turn their lives around, to raise their hand and say, this happened to me and I didn't do anything wrong. And that takes an incredible amount of courage.
So I've been involved in this case from day one. And I remember that phone call like it was yesterday.
Nobody wants to be a whistleblower. Nobody likes the person who tells. But we're not gonna hide nothing. As a child, not seeing your family is very hard. My mom, she had me young. She wasn't like on drugs or anything. She just did her thing. My father at the time, he was in prison. We're poor, you know, and it's like they get food stamps, we're trying to make it work, you know, and sometimes you get a teenager running away, doing their thing, and your parent don't know what to do. I had stole some clothes. My grandma, she didn't have a lot, so she did what she could do, but I stole some clothes. And they put me on probation, and it just went down from there. Like, anything you do, they'll lock you up. I literally got locked up for months because I was late to school. Maybe like 15, 20 minutes late. My probation officer sent me back to camp, and it's like, even now, you think about like, dang, what crime did you commit to do all this time? 15 I went, 16 I went, 17 I went. And I think that if I would've got some other type of help, I wouldn't have missed prom. I think that we would've graduated regularly, like from a regular school. I missed out all of that. Like, to be a teenager, I didn't have that life. It's like, I'm almost 40. And there's a lot of stuff that I didn't do then. I'm trying to catch up now. And I think by being locked up, that's what it did. It took my whole childhood away. Oh my God. That's what they did. It took my whole childhood away. Y'all don't know what they're doing to kids up there. Red dirt. I don't know if you ever seen Camp Scott. It sits in the middle of the mountains. Pitch black at night. You'll be in your bed there, and we only have like 1 or 2 pair of panties. So at night, we rinse them out. Hang them up to dry. You have nothing on up under your stuff. Most of the staff know this. Sometimes they will get you out of your bed, just like you are, and make you hit the track. That's red dirt. Even if you refuse, get up, you're going. No panties on, no bras, thin little gown. You run around this track. Pitch black at night, you see glowing eyes, coyotes coming to the gate. Then I'm back in camp, no shower, and he's there.
I think that there's something wrong with our culture, because what's important to understand, it's not enough to prove in these cases civilly that the abuse occurred. You have to show that the institution knew or had reason to know that the abusers were abusing children. And the fact that we've been able to do this exclusively for over 20 years is a sad commentary on the state of our society. The fact that so many people were hurt and officials knew, teachers knew, administrators knew, and they did nothing is a massive problem, and it remains so. But what I would tell you if you were our client is that your goal should not be a financial award. Your goal should not be retribution. Your goal should not be anything other than healing. And if you chase healing, justice will follow. So many survivors live with shame. I call it toxic shame, where even though they intellectually know they did nothing wrong, they feel responsible.
Someone has to speak up. And someone does. It doesn't matter what you've done or if you think you're in the wrong. Just speak up, tell someone. Tell someone. It took me, 13 years, so. I just pretty much tried to forget about it over the years. And now I'm having to learn how to heal.
Many of the women who I've spoken to didn't connect their trauma until they started having children of their own. And when they looked at their baby's eyes, raising daughters, they realized, I am living with a lot. And unless I want to somehow end this cycle of my own trauma, I need to address it.
I lost my mom when I was 5 months pregnant with my daughter. And I know if I wasn't pregnant with my daughter, I probably wouldn't be sitting in this chair right now. So that's my strength. My daughter, Jalea. Swahili, it means destiny. That's my destiny.